Hello, everybody. We're live.
We are all set. Welcome, LabCoatAgents, and we're going to talk with Jenn Du Plessis here today. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's a coach. How many more titles should I go down? You've got a pretty full resume, Jenn. I appreciate you being on. But today we're going to focus on work on purpose so you can play with passion. Super excited about that topic. And what does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me today. It is my delight and pleasure to be able to share as much as I possibly can in our time here today. So, work on purpose to play with passion is really, it's one of my mantras. I've got many mantras that we all use in our businesses, right? And it just happens to be one that I think is very specifically related for real estate agents. This is I know how the business goes. My husband has a license, so I know what the world is like. I had a big, long career in mortgage lending, 35 years in mortgage lending, so I understand how all of it works. And what I find, and now I'm coaching loan officers and real estate agents, because what I found is that we have a tendency to do activities for the sake of doing activities, because someone told us we should do those activities, but they don't necessarily align with our purpose and what we want in our lives. And as a result, it takes us longer to get them done. There's a rub because we don't want to really do them. And it's like eating soup with a fork, right? And all day long, we're running around and we're eating soup with a fork. And then at the end of the day, we're just exhausted. And we go, I think I worked today. I'm exhausted. I must have done something, but you're not fulfilled. So that's where it's work on purpose to go play with passion. Know precisely, be intentional about what your work is about to get the results that you want, and then go live your life. Because living your legacy while you're building it is so much better than building your legacy and then not living.
Oh man, all of this already resonates with me, by the way. So I appreciate you sharing it. Did you have a moment in time where you said, my life, it's not going the way I want it to go? Yeah. Did you have an epiphany? What was it?
Yeah. Well, I've had many. I'm sure we all have them. Yeah, sure. So several years ago, I retired 3 years ago from mortgage lending. So I'm fresh out of it. But several years ago, I was at dinner with my family, as we all do, right? And that phone rang. And I got to take this call because, they're important. They're more important than you guys, right? That's what we're saying. And I'm going, so I was outside what I call walking the concrete balance beam. The balance beam, the one that you walk back and forth on the curb and talk to people while people are walking back in. I was nodding to people and all of that, right? And at the time, I was funding $50 million a year. I was in the top 1% of loan officers in the country. But I was working miserable hours. I mean, there was just no life. It was just a repeat. It was just a Groundhog Day every single day. And I happened to look into the window of the restaurant. And there in the restaurant was my husband and my 2 children, laughing, having fun, creating memories, but I wasn't in them. In fact, I was nowhere to be found. I was never in them. I was always the mom walking on the other side of the chain link fence at the baseball games, holding the phone and saying, "Good job, honey." Yeah. So yeah. Sure. Right. And my son finally said to me, don't even bother. Don't bother coming. Because if you can't spend time with me, don't bother.
How old was your son when he said that to you? About?
I think he was probably 12, 14. Yep. Yeah, so, impressionable age.
So I'll ask a deeper question with it. So you feel like for his first 12 years, you were there, you just weren't there, like 12 years, really?
I was never present. And wow. That's the question we have to ask ourselves, right? Were we present? My daughter mentioned to me about it maybe a year ago. She said to me, remember we were on that one vacation and we did this one thing? I didn't even remember the vacation. Let alone doing something on a vacation. Because where was I? On the phone, in the room, while they were on the beach, all of those things. And I know that many people can resonate with that. And my mom had this quote, She would say, we flatter those we scarcely know, we please the fleeting guests, but we deal many a thoughtless blow to those we love the best.
Mm.
And if you were just as good, if you could be just as good to yourself and your family as you are to your business, your life would be so much more fulfilled.
I love it and live by it, by the way. In fact, I just wrote a book about living your legacy. So like everything you're saying, I'm like,
Oh my gosh,
we should have connected so much sooner. You and I speak a common language, and we'll keep it to 30 minutes, but I bet we could talk for about 3 hours. So
right.
let's go into the weeds a little bit, Jen. People hear it, and my experience is such that they hear it, and then there's this transition point. But you did make the climb professionally to have the option to get to that transition point. You know what people are asking. Well, sure, she did it. The volume was up there, the business was up there, and then she made the decision. What do you say to those that say,
yeah,
you got to make the climb?
Yeah, well, the thing is, at the time, like I said, I was doing 50 million. I was in the top 1%. And I had said, that's enough. Something has to give. And so I had, for the next 3 years, I put together five principles to living your best life, right? Or what I call lifestyle business mastery. What we tend to do is, so think about a wheel on a car, right? We have the steel and then we have the rubber, right? And the steel is our business and the rubber is our personal lives. And we get nails and it gets treaded on and it gets dirty because it's secondary. So what I want to do is have people consider and invite you to consider to invert that and make your life the steel and your business the tire, right? That piece of it. So what happened, and I did not expect this, all I wanted was to breathe. All I wanted was, how do I do 50 million, this number, right? Now, and understand in lending, 50 million is totally different than in real estate, but how do I do 50 million and breathe, have less work? What ended up happening is I went to being one of the top 200 loan officers in the United States, 785,000 loan officers. It's not about that. It's about the fact that I went to working 4 days a week and I funded 112 million. And I did that consistently year after year for the remaining 8 years of my practice.
So you worked less and you stressed less.
Worked less, stressed less, loved more, lived more, you name it, right? All of those things. And I said, yes, finally, this is the way the business is supposed to run. And now what I do is I teach people how to do that same thing.
And so obviously looking back in the rearview mirror, but if somebody's hearing it today and maybe their careers are just getting started, I don't know, there's a wide variety of audience here.
All pieces, yeah.
How could you, and I couldn't figure this out myself until a few years ago. I wish I had adapted the mindset that you're talking about right now.
Right away.
Start of my career, because what you're saying is true. And I've experienced it as well, that if you commit to the life as the priority and your family members as the priority first, the business will be right there beside it and it'll do better. How can we convince, and convince is such a strong word.
But that's a good word.
Okay, let's convince people because we believe in it, right? I can pick up on what you're putting down. We believe that if you put the life first, the business will be there. Other than you and I, like what can we say to folks? Like, just trust us. Is that it?
Yeah, right. I wish it would be that way. Yeah, I wish it would be that way. I think what happens is that we get, many people that are in the space that we're in. This was not our first career. We didn't go to school to become a real estate agent. And so we stumbled upon this career after having a corporate world generally, right? A corporate world is usually where most people come from, or, a teacher or military or whatnot. And we're used to having structure, and we get into this world and the great Brian Buffini says this all the time, is like, the sky is the limit, but we forgot to tell you there's a floor, right? And so we don't know how to really function other than to grab at straws and shiny objects to circumvent, or what we think is the magic bullet. That's it. This is what I need to do. That's what I should do. And we're listening to people that are giving us all the white noise and their ideas, etc., when in fact it stems from, what do you want? What do you want? And so I believe that a life of values adds value everywhere in your life. And so for me, where it started was, what's truly important to me? Because without having that drive or that passion and purpose, which all sounds crazy because we hear drive, purpose, life, passion, etc., but without having that, then you can be derailed all the time by the minor little things, the insignificant choices that you make all day long to go here and go there and try this and try that and pick up the dry cleaning and not make the call. But when you have that purpose, it keeps you very, very laser focused and very intentional. And I think intention is everything, right? And so finding out what your values are, because I said, okay, what are one of my values? Family. Then I started looking at it and going, well, are they really a value? Because I'm putting them second and fourth and 20th fiddle. Are they really my value? And I had to start setting up boundaries to protect what truly are my values. So in order to be able to figure out your values, one of the ways to do this, I mean, of course, we can all go, okay, faith and family, I think that's a value. But then one of the ways to do it is to find out what you absolutely hate. I don't like people who aren't honest. So honesty is a value. I don't like people that don't follow up. So accountability becomes a value. So it's what you don't like that becomes the values that you're driven by. And those values then say, it's sort of like phone a friend, call a friend. Every decision that you make is based on those values. Right. So if my family is important, then sorry, client, I can't go to that meeting, but I can meet you tomorrow. I can meet you afterwards, but I have an appointment right now. And because we come from that corporate world, and because we're into this, the sky's the limit, we feel like the only way to serve everyone is to be at everyone's beck and call. And it's the difference between being on demand and being in demand. And both will allow you to provide a quality customer. One is customer service, getting you through the conveyor belt. The other is customer experience, how they feel having worked with you, because you had 100% of your time and attention to serving them, not all over the place.
So two questions. One we'll just say is sort of related, not sort of, is related to life. And then the second one is energy, which I'm going to tie into business. So the first question around life, once you, we'll say, once you woke up, I did the same thing. I woke up.
It was an awakening. Yeah.
The world is going on.
Awareness.
Describe the life side of the experience once you woke up. Your world changed.
Oh, absolutely. It changed. I mean, first of all, I am a competitive ballroom, Latin, and swing dancer. On one spectrum. The other spectrum is that I'm a competitive marksman.
Oh, wow.
I'm on a shooting team with the Remax office locally, and I'm the rifle girl. Yeah, it's hilarious. So I've got these huge dynamics, what I want to do, what I love to do. And I wasn't able to do those because I was always running out of a dance class or walking into one and going, oh crap, now I can't even go to the dance class because I got a call from a realtor who needs a letter, right? Instead of saying, when do you need the letter? Oh, well, I don't need it till Tuesday, and this was Thursday. And this is how we knee-jerk reaction. We are constantly feeling like we have to be on demand, and we have to take back some boundaries and control. And so that was why I started saying, wait a minute, hold on, this is more important. So they're going to have to wait. And I lost some business in the beginning because I had some takers, some people that couldn't recognize that I was trying to make a different change and a transition in my life. And that was okay, because guess what? I also learned I want to work with people that complement, not complicate me and my life and my practice. And we have to make decisions to do that, right?
Yep.
So for me, I started going back into more competitive dancing. I was on the shooting team. I was home with my family. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't short with people. I would look my husband in the eye and say, hello. And said, hi, I got to take this call. We've all been there, right?
Yep.
And more importantly, I wanted to work 4 days a week, not because of the book. I wanted to work 4 days a week because I want to be on my boat 3 days a week. Right?
I get it.
We wanted to be on our boat. So, okay, you're kicking butt, you're trying to make things happen, and you're accumulating things. Let's start accumulating feelings instead of things.
Yeah, I love it. We could go down a whole nother path around happiness, but one of the things I want to touch on, once you've freed yourself up, this is what's exciting. If we're going to get people to buy into what we're saying here today, and I hope that you do, because it's very, very real stuff. Once you open up in that way, you start to attract different people and different experiences in your life. It's tough to actually put it into words. But when you're the best version of yourself, and when you're putting off this energy to your family and friends and coworkers, all of a sudden you become this energy, this bright shining light for people, and they gravitate toward you. So if I had to take a guess, it's not a secret why your business did what it did. You started to become the best version of yourself possible, and you were aware enough to make that transition. We only wish we did it sooner.
Yeah, and I agree. And this gets down to one of the principles that I talk about, which is credibility. You know, in this space, we are commodities. Let's face it, we're brown paper bags. We don't know what we're getting in that bag. You could open it up, it could be wonderful, it could be awful, it could be smelly, it could be, because we all just go out there and pitch the same thing. And especially with realtors, what I hear, and because I coach them, I have the right to say this. And because my husband's wife, but you know, the constant, if you know anybody who's looking to buy or sell, I'd really like to apply for the job. You know, it's bull. That there's nothing that's going to make you different. What if you could be a Tiffany's box? Because we know when a Tiffany box is presented to us, sans the fact that you went on to Amazon and bought a Tiffany box and put a bunch of junk in it, right? When you get the box, you know it's an experience, you know it's value, you know it's credible. And that credibility attracts people instead of being this cat on a marble floor trying to chase people all the time. And it's a turnoff. And so credibility is huge in making sure that you are definitely, you know your niche, you know what you're an expert in, and then you just attract that like a magnet. Yep. Right. And now you have the time to attract it like a magnet, because you're not trying to get everything, everybody, every kind of thing that's possible out there. Yep. And you rise and a light shines on you. And all of a sudden you're in demand and not on demand.
Right. And I bet, I'm going to take a roll of the dice here. I bet it wasn't just clients, but I bet you started to attract different folks into your, call it your salary position, your director of operations. You started to attract people differently. In
all rock stars.
Clients.
Yeah, yep. All rock stars. We weren't putting together an amateur band. We were putting together a rock stars, you know.
That's it.
Absolutely, yep. You know, filled with rock stars. It wasn't even just that. Even the clientele was different. My average loan amount was $385 when I started, and then it went to $646. And you know, with my husband at the time was in the lending business too. He's still in lending, but he has a license too. But he, you know, his loans were lower, and so it always brought our average down to, like, I think it was like 424 or something at the end. But mine was 646 because all of a sudden I was attracting these high-end clients, and that was really the niche I wanted to be in, not because of the loan amounts, but because of the complexity of the loan. I love numbers, so they always have complex, not bad situations, just complexity of their financial, you know, situation. And I just started attracting that, and that became my niche. And then it became investors, because I've always, you know, you have to buy the product you're selling, for God's sakes, right? So I started buying properties, and, you know, we own a little over 50 properties now. And then I needed that financing.
Hold on. Well, let's pump the brakes on that. You did that awful casual. You own over 50 properties. Wow.
Yeah, I'm casual with it because we started really young. We've been married 38 years, and we did step investing, and I was in the business, and I thought, well, I should own my product.
Got it.
Right. So I started buying my product.
Nice.
And, you know, and I think, and that then made my second niche be investors. And that is a huge niche that I still have today. Even without being a traditional lender, I still do financing for investors. Because once you get to a certain point, it's hard. It's hard to get those loans. So we want to be able to, you know, to help people.
So
But that became my own niche too. And I started attracting people who are wealth creators. And I wanted to, put myself in that same space. So it doesn't matter that you go in that space, or you serve veterans, or you serve seniors, or you serve, divorced people. It doesn't matter, but you have to know what is it that makes you tick. And
right.
Again, it's the same with the values. If you're trying to figure out what your niche is, and ask yourself, do you like showing houses to people that have little kids? And if your answer is no, okay, then young professionals, right? Young professionals. If you don't like millennials, if you want to use that terminology, I don't use that anymore, but if you don't like working with millennials because you think they're this, that, and the other, then your niche is move up buyers, right?
Right.
So figure out what it is. And it's like, I like peanut butter cookies, so I'm just going to talk about peanut butter cookies. And the people that like peanut butter cookies are going to be drawn to me, and the people that aren't. So be it. I don't care.
There's plenty of them out there. There's plenty of them out there. Peanut butter cookies. So you no longer do loans. So you're a coach to loan officers. You're a coach to real estate agents. How do people connect with you? Where do they find you?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. I mean, we're all over social media, right? That's the bottom line. But just Jenn at Kinetic Spark Consulting, and you can send me an email through there, or you can just send an email to Jenn at Kinetic Spark Consulting, right? Just send me an email there. Kinetic Spark Consulting is my coaching and mentoring program, not program, but website. And you can just send me a message, say, hey, I just want to learn more about that. On May 20th and 21st, I'm doing a 2-day workshop called Cracking the Top Producer Code, because that's where I was at. It was like, why can't I get up there? Why can't I, get past that? And it's free, so you can sign up with that, and we can put the link in the chat here if you guys want. Well, somebody's typing stuff, right? So it's thetopproducercode.com/workshop, thetopproducercode/workshop. And that is a great place for you to get a little more information about me. You can sit there for 2 days and look at me and watch me, engage me and judge me, whatever you want to do. But I promise you're going to walk away with things that will aha your business, lots of it.
For everybody that is tuned in here, it's a choice. This is my takeaway from our conversation. You made a choice, you moved in a direction, and great things happened in your world. And I've got a webpage, by the way, Jenn. I'm going to connect with you more about this stuff. I've got a webpage called todayyouchoose.com. Yeah. So today you choose, because right now, as you're listening, you have a choice to make. Yeah. You can stay on the same path, which might be perfectly fine for you, or you can open yourself up to just put life first. And all Jenn and I might be doing here is just to ask you to give this a shot. If you put life first for a period of time, I don't know, 3 months, maybe short as 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, see what happens. And if your business goes down or it doesn't do what you want to do, then go back to your old way. But if you try it and it works, and we think it'll work, don't we, Jenn?
Actually, I know it'll work.
There it is. I knew you were going to say
I know it'll work. Yeah, I absolutely know it'll work, because you're not putting your business on the back burner. You're putting your business, if you were to think that way, you're putting it on the back burner. That's fine, because the only time you're going to pull on it is when you intentionally grab business, not to pull on it to do a bunch of other stuff with it. I want to leave you with one thing, something called CPC.
Okay.
Clues, patterns, choices, because you said choosing, right?
Yep.
There are clues in life, right? There are patterns, and then you have to make choices. And the one way to describe this is, if you were meeting with someone and they showed up late, that's a clue. And now you meet them, every time you meet with them, they're late. They have excuses as to why they can't be on time. That's a pattern. And now you have a choice whether you're going to work with them or not work with them. So you can use this in anything that you're doing. You have clues in your business, and you now have patterns. If you're someone who hits that reset button every year and you're doing the same exact volume and you don't want to go higher in volume, fine, but you want a better life, you've got to make a choice to make a change, change, right? Yep. If you see those patterns that you're just doing the same volume and you want to do more volume, you have to make a choice to get a different result.
Yeah, absolutely. It starts by looking in the mirror, and you know it, and I know it. And believe us, folks, just give it a try. Jen, it was a true pleasure. I enjoyed our chat today, and thank everyone else for
Thank you so much.
listening.
Yeah,
And
listen in on the podcast. It's for both mortgage lenders and realtors. Mortgage Lending Mastery. Great
Sure.
podcast to listen to as well, too.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to connect with you after this, and
Wonderful.
it was a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you.
tuning in. Have a good rest of your afternoon.
Have a great weekend.